Welcome. I'll do a little introduction about what we're doing here today first, and then introduce my beautiful guest today. So, I had started this campaign, I'll call it, I think, this topic of restoring our wholeness, why I think it's important, what it actually means. I've put out a good amount of material so far, and really thinking about bringing more in. I did take a bit of a pause in the last couple of months as I have been creating a new space, which we're in right now, in part of. And so creating a new physical space for people to be able to come and receive services and healing modalities. And in addition to that, I have also been creating more behind the scenes. I have a brand new website that launched. I have an online community I'm starting, which is actually entitled Restore Wholeness, because I feel like it's such a big topic and it requires a much deeper dive for everyone. And I don't want to generate more conversation on social media. So there's an online community that's about to launch, and it shares this title of Restoring Wholeness, where people can connect with one another and talk, and there'll be learning material on there and videos. I'm really excited about that. That's to come, and then there'll also be an online platform for training videos, which I've been creating. So there's lots of creative flow going and ideas going, and I want to put them out into something concrete to help people. So that's what I've been doing for the last few months while I've paused creating a lot of content. And I'm really excited to be re-embarking on this, and particularly with you today. I think it's the perfect way to reemerge back into what are we talking about? What do we need? What's going on with people in general and what we're hearing as practitioners. So I'll do a little introduction of my beautiful friend, soul sister here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So Jacqueline, Jax Carr, is a Reiki master teacher, certified in the Usui Reiki lineage. She's also a shamanic Reiki practitioner that works closely with the energies of crystals and the land. My crystal guru over here that I go to. She is an alumni of Rhode Island College, has a bachelor's degree in both elementary education and nursing. Jax combines her experience of how we learn with knowledge about the physiology of the human body in her holistic approach towards energy healing. You may know her from her previous work with the Thrive Tribe Collaborative as a Reiki practitioner, teacher, and group facilitator. And Jax is now serving as the co-founder of the Crystal Keys, where she is offering one-on-one Reiki sessions, intuitive tarot readings, and events. It's a beautiful new space you've created.
Thank you.
Since becoming a mother, her focus has shifted towards empowering divine feminine energy, connecting with spirit babies, and empowering mothers. So you can learn more about what she offers and what she's doing at thecrystalkeys.com. And you can follow Crystal Keys JJ on TikTok for readings and insights. I always love watching your videos.
Thank you.
And every time I'm able to, when I have time to tune in, if I see you on there, I immediately listen. And it always matches the day or the week or everything that's going on. You're always right on point with that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I do my best to tune in. Where is the collective at right now and what's going to be helpful?
Right.
Versus any type of fear or anything like that. What's going to help us feel strong and capable and ready.
Well, you're always right on point. So it's appreciated to have someone be saying the things that I'm experiencing or feeling, and no, we're not alone, and this is real. Whatever is happening is affirmed in some kind of way. So
thank you.
That means a lot. All right, so restoring wholeness, as I've discovered, and as I've been, the name came to me at one point several months back, the concept of it, and then breaking it down into actual language and something explicable to people, has been what I have found a bit of a challenge in a way, because to me, I can see it in one big picture and I get it. And then to communicate what that actually means, because there's a lot to it. It's a pretty broad idea.
Yeah.
As I've tried to refine it and fine tune it, I've discovered there are a million different ways to explain this or understand it. So we can talk about what it means to us today, and I can share a little bit about what I've come to in terms of how I've learned in talking to a lot of people and realizing how they're perceiving it. I've said, oh, okay, I need to add this or change this. So I'm really curious to hear your language about it. Where I've gotten to this far is when I work with people and I see so many people, and I'm constantly learning and reading things and listening to things, is that we have this very fragmented system around us, our medical system, our school system, right? All the different ways that we partake in society and in the community are broken up. There's not this cohesive continuity, right? Like the systems don't talk to each other. No. There's a big disconnect. And what I think is there's a reflection in that of how we feel on the inside. Because I'm a therapist and I work with people on that level, I can see it on the individual level, and it looks like it's mirrored in the external world around us, right? We feel fragmented. And so a lot of the work I do centers around bringing people all their different parts, all their different aspects back to themselves, because the only way that they're well resourced to promote natural healing, whether it's emotional healing or otherwise, is by calling those back, integrating those in a new way. So to me, that means restoring our wholeness. And maybe I have the belief, I guess, if I go further with this, that once enough of us are doing that more and more, that the systems will then reflect that, because we're probably not going to have a lot of tolerance for being a part of these systems that don't address the whole picture and the whole self,
Absolutely.
And I think that's part of what drove me, without realizing it, to become a holistic type of practitioner. Because if you don't look at the whole picture, what are we really, right? If you just do this symptom or this one issue, it doesn't really tell the whole story, how we got there in the first place, and also the root of what actually needs our attention
in this moment.
And to get the relief or the healing or the feeling better, whatever that means, that the person might need.
Right.
So that's my big explanation. I'm curious what you might want to contribute or add, or how you would fine tune that.
I love that, because I think even the word itself, restore, indicates that we were whole already. And so it's like, we're just pulling back those parts of ourselves that are needed in this moment in time. And when you speak to also, like when we do our individual work, we work with one person, that is also going into a family system, that's going into a relationship system, that's going into a work dynamic as well. So it does ripple out that type of healing into these various systems. And people are going to ask, like, what are you doing? Like, I can sense this difference about you. Like, you seem happier and brighter, because that wholeness is returning.
I'm so glad you said that about what we're bringing into the different places that we show up, because it's true. And I call it, sometimes I'll tell people, this is the magic wand. This is, when you do this, you don't have to tell anyone you're doing it. You don't have to explain it to anyone, but you do show up differently, and it creates a whole new ripple effect, like, as you said, and a whole new dynamic, without really a lot of effort other than doing our own work, right? Realizing that the pieces that are fragmented for us as individuals, our spirituality, or focus on, an emotional thing without addressing physical or vice versa. So yeah, what we bring into every moment really makes such a difference.
It does, and it's time for us to like not view it as selfish. It's essential that self-care is so essential on all those levels, right? Mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, energetic. When you're taking care of those parts of yourself, you show up better in all of those aspects of your life.
Yeah.
I know for myself, as soon as I put myself first and my healing first, it helps me show up as a better mom. I'm more patient and present and happy, and so it does help my child in the long run. It does help my family system in the long run.
Yeah.
So.
I love it. I have questions and I have things for us to talk about, but because this is what we're saying, I had a thought yesterday that just, of course, as I know we're going to be talking about all this, I'm sure, comes in, that one of the things I observe is that so many people they're trying to perfect what's already perfect. And when I'm with people one-on-one, or even in a family system or a couple doing therapy, when I propose that idea to people, I get a lot of resistance, right? That you're already perfect, you're already whole. Whether they know it or not is the question. And so, everyone's out there trying to perfect what's already perfect. And I think that because of the world we live in or how we grew up, we could talk probably a whole other hour for all the reasons why, but there becomes this hyper focus on the external things that will make us perfect. Right. If I get this job, if I have this much money in my bank account, if I am in this relationship. And so everyone's looking outside of themselves for that wholeness, for that perfectness, when we have it in here all along. And teaching that to people, I mean, my job, I don't think, is to convince them of it. I just introduce the idea.
Yes.
And then let that, unfold as it will, because I can't, I can't push past that resistance, nor do I want to. I mean, it's not really my job.
Right.
Introducing ideas and then let them manifest as they need to in whatever timing they need to for people. But maybe just reversing the order of things. That when we do this, everything out here, again, like the systems, it reflects what we have going on. So I don't know if you have anything you would say about that, but that's my general observation. So it's anecdotal, but
I think that is spot on. I almost feel resistance in myself when I hear that. Like, oh, it's already perfect, or even like this moment is perfect. The way everything happened was perfect. That's a lot to handle, because we are taught external validation in all of its forms.
yeah.
We're looking to the external reality to show us what we know to be true. And that's where we get to do that deeper dive. What do we know to be true? Are we whole already as we are? Are we perfect? Are we unconditionally loving of ourselves? This is where practitioners like yourself and I open that door to that concept of like, of course you can be unconditionally loved, unconditionally worthy, just as you are in this now moment. It takes time, it takes life experience to begin to reflect that back. Yet that internal work that we do is we're constantly telling ourselves and showing ourselves and reminding ourselves like, I'm light, I'm connected to source, I have a purpose here and a meaning here. I'm meant to be here in this now moment just as I am. And every experience is teaching me and showing me more about who I'm becoming. And it's like having grace with yourself allows for you to have grace with others. And that's where the reality shifts. That's where it's like when you have grace for yourself, you're not going to go start an argument randomly. You're not going to give the barista a hard time. You're going to be able to see through a more loving lens. Start small. It doesn't have to be a big, massive change.
I think it's better when you do it in small doses.
It's micro habits.
Micro habits.
That's how I see it, like micro habits.
Yes.
Like go home and like do one small thing that reassures that inner child, that pure part of yourself, that you're loved. Do it for yourself. And ultimately it's going to shift the reality.
Yeah. you're loved and you're loving.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think some people internalize all of this, hurt and trauma and pain and things that I'm not a good person, I'm not a loving person, I don't care.
Yeah.
Right. And then I think feel that from others too. Um, but it's like the chicken and the egg, right? Where
Yeah.
does that start and where can we intervene to flip that around?
Yeah, because it's a feedback loop.
Feedback loop.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like the things that we're telling ourselves, we're telling our external environment reflects that back to us. And so this is where I feel the work is really in the heart chakra, not to be too focused on just one system, but the heart chakra itself sends out a vibration and it magnetizes in a reality. And so when we're clearing, cleansing, replenishing, and doing deep work around the heart space, we're going to see our realities reflective of that as well.
Right.
And that's where those heavier energies of like hurt, betrayal, grief, anger, these very human experiences can live. And they're just asking for us to peel back those layers and fill them with unconditional love. Face those parts of ourselves, maybe those experiences where we weren't that thrilled with how we showed up, and still find love for ourselves in that moment, still find love for the difficult experiences, knowing that they are informing who we are, they're informing our soul evolution, and that we are more than capable in the views of our creator to work through that.
Yes. I incorporate into all the different trainings and workshops that I do, teaching people that the heart is the actual control center. We think of the brain.
Yes.
We do overthinking and overanalyzing ad nauseum all day long. It drains us.
Absolutely.
We're running on a hamster wheel because it's not really going to get what we want, the results that we want.
Right.
And if we focus more on that heart center, you get so much further. You actually do get, effective results,
Right.
because it's sending the signals everywhere else. And now we have all the science behind that to show, oh, that is really where all the messages get sent to the brain, and the neural pathways stem from. And
Absolutely. It's almost like there's some heart coherence
Yes.
work that's out there.
Yeah.
And the message is to like tune into your heart before making a big decision or even a small decision. Start there, practice there. You can tap at your heart space to sort of feel into it. Is this for me? Is this coming from my soul? Is it soul driven or is it ego driven? There's nothing truly wrong with the ego, but it's going to keep us in loops because that's its job, is to protect. So there's really no fresh solutions coming up. It's only what we've experienced thus far.
Right.
Whereas the heart has the capability to say, you can try something totally different.
Yeah.
And that's in alignment with where you're at right now. And I know the real you. And that's why all those Renaissance paintings, there's always this pointing to the heart. It's your treasure, it's your compass.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah, there's a lot of like religious symbolism with like Yeshua pointing to the heart, is like, this is where it's at. This is your map.
Focus here. Yes, it's the roadmap. I love it. And I know there's a lot of fear that comes up with, even probably people hearing this will feel it in their bodies even, or that scary stepping into the unknown idea. And when we pull ourselves back, we are resourced to do anything, handle anything, manage anything.
Yep.
It's all about having all access to all of our faculties and all of our resources, but not just up here.
Right. Right. It's unlocking all the abilities, all the histories, and even with like ancestral work, sometimes people are blaming their ancestors for the karma that they're carrying or whatever. But really, you're here because you're a very strong version of all of those people that came before you, and you are here carrying a remembrance in your cellular body of those experiences, that what they have survived, what they have gone through, and it's really powerful when you think of just how strong you have to be in this moment in time, that you are already. Oftentimes I'll say to myself, well, haven't turned to dust yet. Like that
Still
happened.
going. Yeah, roll up the
Yeah,
sleeves.
that happened. Didn't turn to dust. And like, if anything, sharpened discernment, sharpened intuition,
Yes.
reminded me to like trust what I know for myself better, because that never really leads me astray. So it brings us right back to like trusting what you know and believe and feel deep within your heart space. And that it's just going to keep you going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've always been in awe of watching your evolution as a practitioner. I don't know how many years we've known each other now, but it's been really,
Close to 10.
yeah, it must be, right? And it's been really remarkable to see your stepping more and more into what I know your purpose is, to help others and to heal people, um, help people heal themselves, really, and help them find the tools. Um, would you speak a little bit about your background starting as a nurse and being an RN, and how that has informed a lot of where you've found yourself now?
Sure. It's an important part of my background, because I think sometimes we shy away from the term healer, but a lot of us come into this world knowing that we're meant to help.
Yeah.
And we just may not know exactly how that's supposed to be. And for me, I worked in healthcare, and I loved seeing people walk out the door feeling better, or returning to our space after treatment and feeling better. And that really guided me to pursuing nursing in a deeper way. I was working as a medical assistant, and then I went to school for nursing. While I was at Rhode Island Hospital, I encountered an individual who told me they had been healed through complementary alternative medicine, which for them it was like a weekend retreat, essential oils, and it changed their life. And it was like a light bulb went off for me. And I'm
Wow.
like, I love this stuff. I want to dive so deeply into it. And so we were doing presentations based on that particular rotation in the hospital. And I chose to learn more about complementary alternative medicine, adjunct therapies. And next thing you know, I'm learning about sound healing and binaural beats, and yes, essential oils and therapeutic touch and Reiki. And it sort of like opened up a world to me where I was like, this is the kind of healing that I feel I'm more in align with, because it views things in a more holistic way. I can take my time with people. There's no rush like there is in the hospital. Um, I was always getting in trouble for yapping too much, like getting to know people, which now I get to do. I get to take my time with my clients. I get to, yes, assess what's going on physically. A lot of times people will come in with physical discomforts, yet we get to the root of it. And in my 10 years of experience thus far, there's always an energetic component. There's always an emotional, psychosocial aspect to things in addition to that physical. I like to address things before it shows up in the physical if we can, like when the body's whispering versus when it's really being loud. Yet working with people at any stage, it's just shown me that there's so much more going on, and they're often aware of it. They just need that safe space where they can talk things out, where they can be seen and heard and understood, and we can go to those depths together. In shamanic practice, we walk by the side of the client. We do not heal them ourselves. We walk by the side of them so that they may learn to access those deeper parts of themselves. And they're held in a safe container with someone who's committed to being beside them for that walk. So that's where I feel like I've ended up in a long way of explaining it. Yet to me, there's always this connection between the two, and
Yes.
between the worlds.
Yes.
Yes.
Being a therapist, obviously people will come to me because they're in emotional distress.
Right.
And more often than not, there's also a physical component, there's something. And one of the things I've learned so much on repeat over the years, there is no ailment that doesn't have an emotional, energetic root to it. There just isn't,
Exactly.
including injuries, right? I've rolled my
Yes.
ankle a few times in the last 6 months,
Yeah.
pretty severely. And I knew I was not in a good place, I wasn't in the centered, mindful, present space. And, and that was the result. And so, that's been my learning, and helping people make those connections has felt important, and also far more effective, right? If we just do symptom management, we're really not getting to the problem at all. And those messages, those parts of us, as using my parts language, don't get seen.
Right.
They don't get witnessed. And one of the other things I feel like has really changed for me, so you tell me what your thoughts are about this, is learning that I don't really have to have a specific profound thing to say. I don't have to have the right words. I don't have to know all of the theories of psychology. And, if my approach is showing up, the person receiving has the intention of finding some healing, finding relief, feeling better, if we generalize it. I certainly show up with the intention of helping to facilitate that. And if the two of us are showing up with those intentions, healing is going to happen naturally.
Yeah.
It's naturally occurring. And it doesn't mean that I did a thing, right? That I healed them or I did anything. I just showed up with an open heart, right? And with the intention that I know, even if they don't, I can hold the knowing that they have the power inside them to promote this healing or regenerate those healing processes if they're stuck or blocked or something. And so if I can hold that truth in that moment with both of us there, it can transfer to them in some way, and I don't even have to understand how. If two people come together for the purpose of healing, it will happen.
It's amplified.
Yeah, and there's nothing you really have to do other than the witnessing, I think.
I think witnessing, and I think asking questions.
Oh, yeah.
Which is like an innately feminine practice, right? And something that maybe modern medicine, I think, lacks. And what I've seen in holistic medical practices is the questions are being asked. They're being asked about what home life is like, what support systems are like, what work is like, because all of this is part of how a person's healing and functioning and working through what they're currently going through. So if we can ask the type of questions that allow for our clients and allow for our clients to kind of even go deeper within themselves, it opens up the space. We're like the door openers. That's what we do.
Oh, I
We
like
open that space
Yeah.
for them. Like one question can lead someone to a deeper healing, and we're not the one actually doing anything. We're just opening that door, that perspective to shift a little bit, to maybe turn a little bit more inwards instead of seeking for the answer externally.
Right. Be curious about themselves.
Yes. Yep. Be curious about how it all comes together.
Right.
Right. So one experience I had recently was hearing a holistic practitioner who was treating for like medical purposes, yet they were noticing how the mother's hair looked and how she was dressed and who she came in with, because all of this was telling that practitioner, does she have time to take care of herself in addition to caring for a new baby or a toddler or whatever the case may be. And so it's like we become more trained to look at the whole picture and ask the questions that help us to piece things together that we may need, but it's more so for the client to reflect upon.
That's wonderful.
It was really beautiful. And in all my experience in nursing and being in Western medicine, I hadn't seen that type of care taken where to get to know where someone was at in terms of their lifestyle and their pressures of their day to day, and how that might reflect in the physical.
Right. You can give them a prescription, you can give them even things to do, but if they can't even wash their own hair, right? What's the reality of that?
There?
No.
It's a glaze over, it's a short fix. And I think society is not going to accept that any longer. We all sense this. That's why these sort of healing centers are coming together and happening and cropping up, because we're like, no, I want to get to the deeper meaning here. I want to get to the root of the issue. We know we're meant to like have this type of village where we're seen and heard and understood, and that's a lot of our work, right? And so you're going to see these sort of centers cropping up instead of putting someone into a system where they're treated as a diagnosis. They're sent to this specialist for this specialist for that. None of those specialists are in communication. And it's sort of like, but what's going on underneath? Could she wash her hair this morning? Can we get to the real of the daily life?
So many people have sought me out as a therapist, as a mental health practitioner, because they've already been through the system in a variety of ways, and it's just not working. It's not, and things just keep perpetuating in their life. And they want to try something different. And I feel like that's been a distinct difference I've seen maybe in the last 5 to 10 years or so. I don't know it sounds like you're seeing that too and experiencing the shift of openness or perspective that there's got to be another way.
Yeah, I think most people walk in for a session with me to because they have tried everything, because they may have one of those diagnoses that's difficult to manage, something like endometriosis or fibromyalgia, or just fatigue, just feeling like their battery's low, and they're trying all the things, they're taking the supplements, they're doing the gym, they're doing the thing,
checking the boxes,
and following the guidelines that were outlined for particular illnesses. But even to that, there's a limitation. Sometimes that energetic component is not being addressed, hardly ever. And we're knowing that these modalities are available. People hear about red light therapy, they hear about cold plunges and sauna and Reiki and craniosacral. And so there's a more openness to try, and it's usually because they've exhausted all their options and they've hit that point. Like, now I really want to take the reins here and take control and do what I can for myself.
Yeah. Which is wonderful. And we have so much more available now than, than years past. That makes me think about what you said earlier. And then it comes to, what are we bringing into those things, right? I could go somewhere to do, a cold plunge or some kind of therapeutic thing. But if I'm going in fragmented, scattered, all over the place, thinking about what I have to do tomorrow or what happened yesterday, what benefit am I really receiving from that, right? The first time I hurt my ankle, I was on this wonderful hike in this beautiful, majestic place in nature. I knew that I was getting a little bit anxious about all the things we were going to do later that day, and if we were going to have time. And I was checking the boxes. We stopped. I said, I need a rest. I stopped. I tried to meditate a little bit. We stopped at this beautiful place. I ate some food. I did all the things I thought I was supposed to do. But I didn't actually wait till I was fully dropped into that space. And so I feel like part of, I guess I'm fine tuning as we're talking, because the restoring our wholeness, I think, also means, if you're coming back into center, that you're fully emerging into the moment of whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're with a person, that you're fully present. If you're, doing something therapeutic for yourself, that you're fully present and participating actively in that. And how do we teach people how to do that? I feel like the work you do helps people come back to the moment.
I love that. I feel like it does, and it's kind of like up to them to maintain that,
Yeah.
And I think that's it's almost like a muscle that we build on.
Right.
Because similar to like when we're in a meditative space, we can feel super present and very aligned and very grounded. But how long can we hold that for when the phone is ringing and the dog is barking and we're thinking about the bills that are to be paid? It's a practice more and more to try to focus on bringing ourselves back into that now moment. The body will show us. That was why your ankle was, it was like,
yeah,
oh, she better slow down.
yeah. And I did it
Slow
twice
down.
in a row too.
Oh.
It was like, oh, okay, no, you're not getting this message because you're trying to still walk on this thing right now. And then so we're gonna make it so,
Yeah.
Yeah, you pretty much can't, but you're on the top of a mountain. So
Right. Because so much of what we've been taught is that we need to constantly be doing.
yes, the doing.
The doing versus the being.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite concepts is in a lot of indigenous belief systems, they look to nature for the meaning of life.
Yes.
And they say nature isn't proving. It's
There's
not
no
in a
ego.
rush.
There's no ego. Yeah.
It's simply existing. And so, if we can take ourselves out of this pressure to perform and prove and validate all of that and simply be more, we will feel who we truly are. We'll feel that essence. We'll feel at peace.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. I've felt it in slivers of time, moments where I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm super present.
Yeah.
So look to nature. I would say even our children show us that too. They are
really good at it.
My son has one thing on his mind when he's playing, and it's like he's having the time of his life playing with that one thing, and it's so beautiful. He's not worried about his taxes. He's not worried about getting an oil change,
or even eating or something.
Almost to lose ourselves in the joy of the moment, which is such a beautiful soul expansive experience.
Yeah.
More of that.
Right. And I think I hear that the most. I want to just learn how to be. I want to know how to be comfortable in my own skin. I want to just be able to people say it all the time, just be, and everything around us isn't set up for that. We have to demand it, I think.
We have to carve that out
of ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, not in a conflictual way, but in a way that we're not settling for less than that anymore.
Right.
Whether we can just piece it together throughout a day, several times a day at least. I think you said it perfectly, that it's a muscle we have to exercise because we're so out of practice with that. I think I know it's our natural state.
It's our nature.
We're human beings, not human doings.
Right.
Right. And so it would be the most natural thing in the world to come back to, but we're so maladapted to living that way.
I think we're distracted. I think we're distracted by the external world so much so that it's become our norm. Lately, I have found I have to turn my phone off.
Yes.
Not even on silent, not on airplane mode, off.
Yeah.
Because I'm home. I know my people are safe. I'm good with that. But there's this feeling of I don't want to be accessible all the time. I need to also send a signal to myself and my body and my mind and spirit that there's nothing else to be taken care of right now.
Right.
Right now, my focus is me. What do I need? How can I tune in? And so that does mean sometimes turning things off, especially with work. We're not available 24/7, no matter what your job is. Don't be working overtime and not getting paid for it.
I am guilty of that. I have to have frequent reminders of that.
Especially as an entrepreneur, I feel I felt this when I was working in healthcare too, because I would carry things home. I'd worry about patients, that sort of thing. But as an entrepreneur, there was no off button. I felt like I always had to be going and pushing, or I was letting my business down. But in reality, there's a huge connection between allowing ourselves to simply rest and then for creativity to naturally flow, working with our cycle of rest and awakeness and inspiration and integration, and allowing for that to be a more natural process. This society's never going to say, you should take a break. You should take a rest.
You can't wait for permission.
It won't happen.
Right.
And that's where it's like, how do you rebel against the system? Like you rest. Like rest is rebellion. And
But like the rebellion, that got me excited.
Yeah, I have too much
rebellion.
We're in this fire horse energy. Like none of
That's
the
true.
old can remain.
Right.
And so it's like
It's a revolution.
It's a revolution, and it's a heart-based one. So horses are super heart-driven.
That's true.
Their hearts are massive, and they work very hard to move them fast. And so if we can even tune into that within ourselves, like, I'm going to let my heart guide me more. And if my heart is saying, I need to lay down, turn that phone off, relax, no TV, no distractions, I'm not responding to the text right away. I'm certainly not responding to the email right away, because I need to put those boundaries in for myself.
Yeah.
And acknowledge that I'm also the spirit. The spirit needs time to nurture itself too. And it can't be done through checking off boxes throughout the day.
No. And maybe that's a good way to start, knowing the things that could be helpful, and then taking the next step, right? You said the micro adjustments and action steps. But it's not enough to just say, oh, I did the thing.
Yeah.
How did we do the thing? How did we? And there is nothing more representative, I think, of wholeness than bringing your whole self into, right, full presence into anything, whether it's I'm doing the dishes, right? I'm caring for my child, I'm doing a work thing.
Right.
It doesn't really matter what it is. Right. It's just how much of you is involved.
Totally. And that's like where that mindfulness practice kind of started, was like, can I be mindful while I'm preparing food for my family? Can I be mindful while I'm doing these like small, regular daily actions? But it's more like mindless. Like, can I just be while I'm doing this? And you'll know when it's your spirit that's being nurtured, because it's going to feel like time flies. It's going to feel enjoyable. It's going to feel easy. And that's when I know, oh, okay, I'm doing something that's actually aligned with my spirit. This is more reflective of my whole self versus like the roles and identities that I put on myself. You know, I'm a mom, I got to make dinner. It needs to be healthy. I'm rushing through it. We've all been there. It's an experience. It doesn't feel good. Yeah. It's not being infused with our love. Mm-hmm. And I understand that we're on time schedules and things like that. But if we can even take a moment, that's why I work with Reiki so much, is I will take a moment and pause and just ask to infuse my hands with love, with whatever it is that I'm doing, with divine source energy. Because that way, if I'm making food or even changing my child, I'm just asking to do it in a more loving way. Do I do it every time? No. But when I do, I'm making those micro changes. Yes. And my system gets more used to that. Yes. And that feeling, it's easier to pick up on, and it's no longer such a foreign concept. Oh, I can actually live more joyfully and presently and in wholeness with myself. Right.
It becomes more automatic and back to our natural state.
Right.
Yeah.
Have to give yourself permission. Yeah. And sometimes that is that like slow down the pace.
Right.
It could be like Western world is super fast paced.
Yes.
Like unrealistic expectations.
Completely.
That we put on ourselves. And so like that's where you flip the script and slow down when you need to. And it is like putting gas in the tank of a vehicle. It's essential. We cannot be running on fumes.
No, it's unsustainable. And I think that's why people seek practitioners like ourselves or other people we know out, because you reach that impasse at some point. You know, it's a little different for everybody how long they can run on empty. Right. But they ultimately, everyone reaches the impasse of, this isn't working. I can't do this anymore. This feels awful. Whatever, you know, whatever catalyst has sort of brought them to that crossroad. Right. Right. Yeah. And it's going to show up in various ways. Like we'll see like emotional burnout, mental exhaustion, and then the physical. It's going to show us whether it's a rolled ankle, whether it's even just like back pain. All of these things are signals, letting the body know, letting the soul know, I got to slow down and take care of myself. Something here needs to be addressed. I got to pull myself back to center before this gets worse. Is usually the goal there, and then eventually it
it can be healed.
Yeah. And a lot of times we ignore them for a while. Those messages and signals, we're sweeping it under the rug. I can keep going.
Especially like, so as a trained in Western medicine, I would be like, let me take a Tylenol for this and like make the pain go away. And then, okay, I'm actually like able to work through the bad
Keep
pain.
going, yeah.
Right. But if I slow down at the end of the night and I reflect, what might this have been related to? Like, do I feel like I'm carrying a lot? A lot of times back pain is like I'm carrying a lot. Maybe it's the physical world is feeling like out of control, or like something that is just a lot to manage at the moment. And so it's not to be overlooked, it's not to be ignored. It's meant to be like viewed through eyes of love. How could I be more loving to myself? Are there things that I can maybe ask for support with? Are there ways that I can like better resource myself and also pull in the help that I need in this moment in time?
And then evaluating, do I actually have to be doing all of these things?
Right.
You know, we have this sort of preconceived notion that everything has to get done, and we've loaded up our plates with, you said, unrealistic expectations of ourselves. We feel like that's being imposed by society or the world around us in some kind of way.
Right.
But the reality is, like, if my laundry's not done, who cares?
Yes.
Like, who, you know, sure, I want everyone to have clean clothes, and I will make sure that happens. But if I wash it and I don't fold it and put it away right away, like, what, you know, because I'm tired and I need to rest, or I want to go play with my kids instead.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But there's so much of this external pressure.
It's a program. It's like programming that's been like enforced on us. And so that's where our job is to say, yeah, but as a human soul, oof, like that schedule doesn't feel good to me. That rushing doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah.
I know there are things that have to get done, but are there the things that could be put on the back burner? And are there ways that I can nurture myself that can be moved towards the front burner that can be paid attention to a little bit more? Listen, a society can control us when we are distracted and tired and in pain.
Yes.
And in fear. And so that's where we can reflect back and say, I actually don't really want to be controlled. I want to be a sovereign being, I want to move through this world kind of co-creating heaven on earth, like going to a job that I love, with people that I love, doing work that's meaningful. And so how can I shake some of those mechanisms, that distraction, that burnout, that exhaustion? What can I do to take care of that? Because it's going to lead me to a better life, ultimately.
If it feels better, we're better. If we're better, we're showing up better. We're helping other people want more of that, because everybody wants that.
Right.
Right. We all know people where we see it in them. We might not know what it is. Right. We don't have words for it, but we say on some, whether it's unconscious or with awareness, I want that.
Yeah.
That's how I want to look when I'm going out in the world or living life.
Right. It's like that their life force is very full, because they're acknowledging that.
Yeah. And it's visible.
It's absolutely visible. It is, as an energy healer, like we can pick up on it immediately. It's almost like reading someone like a battery. Is your life force low? Is it medium? Is it high? And then tuning in, what things help us to recharge? Literally, if we're a battery, what helps us to recharge? Nature, time with our loved ones, not feeling rushed, quality sleep, quality water, like all these things. And they can be done one step at a time, small changes like we're talking about. And you'll notice my battery feels more full. I feel more like myself. I would love to work with you and help recharge in that moment, which is what we do with Reiki. People walk out, they like bounce off that table. They're like, oh yeah, now I finally feel like myself again. Yeah. Because they've been brought back to what it feels like when your energy's optimized versus distracted, exhausted, depleted.
Yeah. The rebellion. I keep thinking this, like, because I feel like that's the exact energy we need for the reprogramming. Yeah. If we're going to rework the programming we've been handed and has been, you know, from lots of generations now handed down to us, we have to have a little bit of like rebellious energy, I think, to say, no, and I think it creates awareness too.
And it gives permission for others.
Right.
Like when you're standing up for what's right for you,
yes,
it gives room for others to be like, oh yeah, I was kind of feeling that too.
Yeah.
Like I'm like the worst person to put in a work environment because I'll be like, yep, these conditions are unfair. And then the next thing you know, everybody's like fired up too. Yeah. It's probably all this Aquarius energy in me. But for us,
but you're needed.
But
you're
it's needed. It's needed. It's about your sovereignty. It's about where you're handing your power to. And as someone who's worked in the medical system, a lot of times we hand our power to our diagnosis. We hand our power to what's hurt us. We can hand our power over to pain and fear and all those things. And it's like, or you can claim it for yourself. And how are you going to show up and take back your power and your sovereignty? Mm-hmm. And basically, again, recreate a different reality for yourself. It doesn't make the diagnosis disappear, but what it does is it takes the power away from it. It's not your identity. You are a soul. You are a beautiful, sovereign soul with meaning and purpose and value, just simply as you are.
Just because you are.
And you're needed. You're necessary. Not only that, but like you were created as in this exact formulation because it's necessary and needed in this moment in time. So the more that you can embody your truest, authentic self, which is your sovereign self, like the more joy you will feel, the more support will come your way. I truly feel that. And
yeah,
authenticity is rebellion too, in a world that wants us to look the same, act the same.
Yeah.
All of that.
I don't think it would be being called by, I hear it in different places, radical authenticity, right? Yes. Radical honesty, if it wasn't rebellious.
Right.
Because it's bucking the system that's been there. Right. It doesn't mean the system's not based on truth. It's based on habit. It's based on
profit
agendas, right? Yeah, profit and agendas of not us, not the individual or the person. Mm-hmm. And I do know that what you're talking about and describing is contagious, like you said, in the workplace, right? Because nobody wants to be the first one to speak up.
No.
Nobody wants to be the only one on the radar. And that's the fear, right? What's going to happen to me if I speak up?
Right.
And so many people are persecuted for that exact thing. Exactly. But if I see you do it, it's much safer to be in numbers than it is to be solo, even though there are, of course, brave souls. Yeah. I'm more of a mouthpiece as well. I'm not Aquarius, but something, and maybe it's the Virgo, I don't know, but I tend to open my big mouth and say, wait a minute.
Wait a second.
And maybe that's why we ended up doing what we do, but
I think we started asking questions in our environments too. And it could be small actions too. Like I'm seeing like I used to work in like cubicles and we were like all like slammed in together and there were so many computers and phones and it was awful. And then we started going for walks on our lunch break, like taking a walk to go get the coffee, like making sure we got outside for a minute. And that one simple action helped to reset that nervous system just briefly in that moment in time. And that's an act of rebellion in itself. So like kind of bucking the system and saying, you know what, like they don't own my time and energy. They don't own my happiness, whoever they is. They don't own me.
Yes.
They certainly don't own my soul. I am my own being and I want to experience more of the goodness. I want to experience more of that joy and be able to be more present in all that I do. So sorry, getting all fired up, but it's the year of the fire horse. So if there was ever a time, it's now. Yeah. It's not, the blinders are off, baby. Like you're just moving forward. You have the momentum, you have the connections, people are aware. There's these beautiful modalities around us. There's all these ways that we can really take care of ourselves better than we ever have before. It's making that micro choice each day, each moment, even once a week, whatever you can do to get started.
Yeah. And that's the epitome of reclaiming, restoring our whole self, right. Our whole selves. So I feel like hopefully the, information we're sharing and putting out and people see this and it gets their fire going. So I think that's what I'm going to hope for most, that even just asking the questions, well, wait a minute, does it really have to be like this? Do I really have to do it this way? and challenging some of those old programs and belief systems.
Absolutely.
Anything else you think is good to add?
I think like that reminder to tune into your heart. And when it's starting to really feel good on a soul level, that's information. And when it feels the opposite, that's information. So that tells you where the boundaries are needed.
Yes.
And when it feels wonderful, it's telling you, how can I incorporate more of this into my world?
Yes. Well, you are welcome to follow Jax's, website and social media, and there'll be information at the end of this that has all of our stuff on it for people to check out. And I appreciate you and
Appreciate you.
everything you're bringing in today, and just your role in my life. But ultimately, I knew that having you share your wisdom and your experiences it's going to help others.
The
So,
goal. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you.
All right. Well, this is the first in a little bit of time, but it will not be the last. Now that the infrastructure is more put together, there'll be a lot more coming out, and we can all keep talking and learning about how to be our whole selves, and then create a world around that.